for several years. Eddie was already committed to, I forget the dollar amount, but he's
put it on the table.
Several scholarships
Good.
that he provides to a few people a year.
What does he feel about what's going on in Roosevelt school districts right now? I know he's aggravated and angry.
Listen, what's going on in Roosevelt school district is it didn't just happen.
Right.
You know, I came to when we moved to Roosevelt, it was like paradise for people to move from Brooklyn or the city area and come out here. It was like paradise. And I remember what Roosevelt was what it was and was supposed to remain. And then and Andre, you got to remember this too. You remember when crack cocaine came into the community, and that was it.
That was it.
That's when I came to the community to fight that stupid stuff. Go ahead. That's back in the late 70s and the early 80s.
That's right. And the school system, it had issues then, but we didn't know it. So you would have to go through the system and go to college and realize that, okay, wait a minute, my education is kind of substandard when I compare it to my peers now that are in college with me. I got to do something on the side to get my thing right.
What do you think the answer is to solving those problems? Besides putting money in the community, what do you really think we need to do? We have an African American news media here that can reach all around the world. What do you suggest we do?
I think we got to start at square one. It's family.
I think what you did today was starting right there.
Yeah, well, tell them about what you did today.
Well, today I came to speak with some of the kids at Roosevelt Junior Senior High School. I brought, Terry Williams of the Terry Williams Agency came down with me, a longtime friend, and she's representing the Stay Strong Foundation. And in association with the Stay Strong Foundation, I'm going to donate some money to Roosevelt High.
I hope you donate some to us too.
Now, but that was interesting the way you're going to donate it, because I think that, when you heard earlier when I was saying the school needs to do something for itself as well, and that made your donation all the more interesting. Tell us about that.
Yeah, what I decided to do is let the kids come up with what's needed in the community or what's needed in the school first. They got to come up with some type of program that's not going to just be for the 12th graders or the 9th graders or the 10th graders. Something that's going to help the next generation, the next group of kids once they leave. Something that's going to teach them how to care for the next guy.
Who's going to oversee that program?
Hopefully, it's going to be the school administration.
Why can't it be the African American news media? Why can't it be a private entity going in to cause incentiveness? Because we've got the facility to help the kids. We got computers here, they don't have there. We got technology here, they don't have there.
They have computers, but they're in the basement in boxes, and they have a technology room, but it was sabotaged by somebody. So they have that, but
they may have it, but what they don't have is the interest that we have to create an incentive to make it happen. You came here with a dollar value. This young man came here with a dream. I'm here with an attitude, okay?
All we need is a Coke and a smile now.
Well, listen, I have no problem with working with anybody who wants to help the kids. You know what I mean? That's what it's all about. I'm not with all the politics, and people want to keep their jobs.
Right.
And, it's like, look, now it's about the kids. They don't want the state to come in and take over things because people are going to lose their jobs.
Right.
But enough is enough. The school can't go any farther down.
But we have a muscle. We have a muscle right here.
Very poignant words.
Because not only do we cause what we call enlightenment, but we keep people honest. You agree? When I say keep them honest? Because we go within the community with our camera and take a look at what's wrong and show it back to those people out there. And when good folks like you come around and says, look, we want to help the kids, we're always talking about we don't bring nothing back to the community. Well, here's an instance that's saying we not only bring it back to the community, here it is in brown, okay, and beauty. An African-American male that's responsive, that's productive, and coming from his peers, his relations, or his network, saying, here, I got something in my pocket, but I ain't giving it to you until you show us that you earning it. And that's your concept?
Exactly. The funds are coming from my father's memorial fund.
Good.
My father, Vernon Lynch Sr., passed this summer. succumbed to cancer. And he wasn't a wasteful man. And I'm not either. And I'm not about just giving money to a school just to give it to them and nothing good is going to come out of it.
I appreciate that.
So what we want is for the children to come up with a program that's going to benefit everybody, or something that's going to benefit all of those who really want to succeed at their school. Like I said at the assembly, Roosevelt is a blessed town.
It is.
A lot of talent comes out of this town.
Right.
The people that I know of that have made it, that are from Roosevelt, are mostly talent-based, talent-oriented. Actors, rappers, things of that. But there's got to be a change. We need people that are going to be accountants, lawyers, and doctors, and successful on a large scale. We need minds rather than entertainers for the most part. But there's a place for entertaining.
Right.
And just like Andre's doing, this is behind the scenes. He doesn't have to be in front of the camera, but he has an agenda. You know what I mean? He's teaching kids how the whole thing works behind the scenes. That's very, very important.
Excellent. There are more things like this to come. The African American news media is about bringing good folks like Vernon here, okay, and others that want to support, not verbally support, not shaking their fists at anybody, pointing at you did this wrong or that wrong. We have a young man sitting over here at our controls that's a college student that's studying the field of electronics and media. And this young man is begging for somebody to give him a chance. That's why I say the African American Media Network is a foundation that can be an educational institution, because they have people like myself who has masters and don't want no doctors. I got a street doctorate, okay? I don't think there's a lawyer, a judge out there can go toe-to-toe with me if I...
You got a player haters degree?
Okay. Yeah, I got that too. But the best degree that I have is love.
Well,
this much.
I'm gonna tell you, the funny thing is, Vernon and I, best thing we got in common, he sold a little bit more records than me, but we have this rap background where we came out rapping, so that's one of the things that we have a very common interest in. He had a group called the K9 Posse, and they did their thing. They had a very unique style, something that you could, a little bit where DMX is coming at. They was out with the pit bulls before anybody came out with the pit bulls, yeah, right. And everything like that. So people need to understand the history behind a person when you see them coming. I mean, it is. I tell people all the time, like they always say, what is this person going to do for Roosevelt? What is that? Well, today is 2001, and it's really not about what is anybody going to do for Roosevelt. It's what is Roosevelt going to do for itself with this assistance of other people? And I think that the way him and Vernon and Mrs. Lynch, Mrs. Terry Williams handled the kids today was the way they need to be handled. I mean, they came in, told them that they were here to care. Then they gave them a challenge. And I think that's one of the best things about what he's doing is he's not just saying, here's something. No, here, you got to work for this thing. Because I've seen through the years of doing this giving to the community, it's like people come in, they just expect all of the free, and there's no incentives for them to do any better. So I think that it's great that he challenged them. And if they don't come up with a challenge, they don't get the money. I think that's very appropriate because everybody else who's coming in is just dogging the school district out. They're coming in and challenging them.
The only thing that's, sad about that situation is that the minority that really want to do something, they suffer when that happens if they don't get the money and whatnot. But, so I'm still here. And I want to address those. Hopefully those leaders will take charge and try to make it happen. But if they don't come up with a comprehensive program, or something that's
you give it to us.
I'm going to still have to address those that try.
Right. Vernon, let me inject something here. For a long time, we've been fighting the percentages. Now you have an opportunity to do something. In other words, you're focused on helping. We're focused on building. Those two things come together. That's your concrete and that's your foundation. When you have a foundation for someone to stabilize themselves on, you work with that. A a hypothetical if maybe when they has been going on for 500 years with us. That's no longer. We now have an attitude and a direction. You're going to see more about Vernon's presentation proposal because we taped it on the African American News Network media. We are the people you work with. You're looking for organizations out there to be responsible and productive. You look for people with minds that know how to control administration, know how to do something with the values of dollars, know how to speak to the congregation.
Well, why don't you
has an
ask him?
educational
Why don't you
background.
ask him how does he like our studio from the old
He
studio
loves
he
it.
came in?
I remember the old studio. All right? And the studio's off the hook. I'm impressed. I'm impressed, and a lot more people need to know about this.
Well, the only way we're going to know about it, my brothers, when we all reach enough.
I wish we could have caught him earlier this summer
and
because
put this on
we
the
would
table.
we would have
That
definitely
we
had
need
him
to know about it.
we would have had him kill somebody in a horror movie. Because he definitely has that GQ killer look. You ever see those movies where they have the guy, he is clean to the hilt, and then he murders somebody?
Well, good folks, let me get back to something. Now, murder is one thing. Right now, we're talking about birth. We're trying to instill a new way to life. We're tired of the old way. Let's kill the old way and come back to a new way. Hopefully, Vernon and company has a feeling that people like myself had for the last umpteen years, looking for young folks that can take control because this is now their world. We older folks have let you down. We didn't put economy into your community. We didn't go into business so you can inherit something. Whatever we made, we gave back to the white man. It's all unfortunate. But we have the cash. We are a sleeping giant. We're $600 billion in this country that goes in one direction. Not a trickle comes back here that we can control and say is ours. But through African American News Media Network, good people like this young man representing the Eddie Murphys out there who want to give back but saying, I'm not going to give because you think I have to. I want to give because I see some ground to plant a seed in and I'm going to see something grow. I'm not asking you to give us something. If you have some dollars out there, let us train those kids out there. Let us train that young man in the community college. Let us say this is your focal point because we are educators. I'm an ex-educated. I taught at Roosevelt School, okay? And at the time it was Dr. Bias that was there. That's when you were going there. And we pulled it together. And then Hodges and Bias had a little problem. Remember that?
I don't remember that, but I thought Dr. Bias was I didn't know he was an actual educator in the school.
Yeah, Dr. Bias is superintendent of the school.
I know. I thought
right,
that's okay.
the CEO.
All right.
And because he's CEO, he's over everybody, so I consider him an educator
Whatever
there.
happened to Dr. Bias?
God bless Dr. Bias. He retired. He went to Georgia. He's sitting on his back porch. Hey, Dr. Bias. He and I are like that. Very good, okay? So there's a lot going on here at the African American News Media, and I'm very, very excited because Andre told me something I could do yesterday that really fulfilled me, and I'm full of vigor, and I want to go in a good direction, okay? So it looks like our time is up. Unfortunately, when you're having a lot of fun and talking to good people, it goes by. But hopefully, Vernon, you'll come back.
I will.
Give us some
Okay.
parting words on really what led you to come to the school district today and what you would like to see happen with your involvement.
Well, what led me to come here is I've been reading a lot of stuff, man, in the newspaper about the school and what's, how it's just off the hook and you got a lot of politics going on. But overall, what really touched me is like the kids, man. The test scores are not high enough. You gotta make that happen. And we have to start from the ground up. If it's a new administration, so be it. Whatever it takes to make these kids want to be there and know that they can achieve and understand they got a brain in their head just like anybody else. They just have to have the opportunity so that when they move on to college, they're on par and they don't have to go back and say, man, I got to backtrack because I thought I was an A student at Roosevelt High and I got to college and I'm an F student. That's a shock. And a lot of people are not going to recover from that.
That's true.
So, what I understand is going on now is that they're going to refurbish the school. The state is supposedly coming in. They're going to put up a lot of money and they're going to rebuild the school. That's a fresh start. People need a fresh place to to sit down and, okay, I want to start my day. That makes you want to work.
Well, let me inject this because we don't have too much time left. The fresh start starts at home. Remember that. You got to send that kid to school to learn.
Absolutely.
Then the teacher recognizes the kid wants to learn and takes it from there. We need to deal with the administrators that we have in our African American schools. We got to tell them to stop beating up on the teachers and allow the kids to learn and allow the teachers to teach them. That's where your problem lies.
Yeah.
Know that for a fact. Well, God bless you.
You have just been watching Mr. Vernon Lynch Jr. from the Vernon Lynch Senior Foundation, or
Yeah, Vernon Lynch Senior Memorial.
Vernon. Okay, the Vernon Lynch Senior Memorial Fund, that has offered a challenge to the Union Free School District of Roosevelt, $10,000 to create a program in the school district for 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th graders to start the seed. I'm Andreas 13.
And I'm Floyd Jenkins, your host.
And remember, if you're not watching the African American news, your television is just not on, and you could die for a cause and not because.
Because if you're not a part of it, you're a big part from it.
Peace.